Cincinnati, 2022. A 78-year-old woman named Dorothy received a phone call from someone who said he was her grandson. He was crying. He said he had been in a car accident in another state, that he was in jail, and that he needed $3,000 wired immediately to get out. He begged her not to tell his parents because he was embarrassed. Dorothy wired the money within the hour. 2 days later, her actual grandson called to check in. He had no idea what she was talking about. Dorothy had lost $3,000 to a stranger who had studied her family enough to know her grandson's name. She was not confused. She was not careless. She was deceived by a professional. And she is one of over 3 million people over the age of 60 who are targeted by financial scams every single year. I'm Asha, and this is Safety Nest. This video is not for the elderly. It is for the people who love them. Elder financial fraud is the fastest growing crime category in the United States. The FBI's Elder Fraud Report documents over $3 billion lost annually by Americans over 60. And that figure represents only reported cases. Most victims never report. The shame of being deceived, combined with fear that family members will question their independence, keeps the majority of cases invisible. The average loss per victim is over $34,000. In 30% of cases, the victim loses their entire life savings. The perpetrators are not random opportunists. They are organized, they are professional, and they specifically target the elderly because research consistently shows that older adults are more trusting, more isolated, and more likely to comply with authority figures, all of which are exploitable characteristics that scammers have spent decades studying. There are 7 scams that account for the vast majority of elder fraud in America. Know all 7. Because the best protection you can give someone you love is the ability to recognize what is happening before they hang up the phone or walk into a bank. Scam 1, the grandparent scam. This is what happened to Dorothy. A caller impersonates a grandchild, or a lawyer or police officer calling on their behalf, and creates an emergency requiring immediate cash. The urgency is deliberate. Panic overrides critical thinking. The request for secrecy is also deliberate. It isolates the victim from the family members who would immediately recognize the scam. The tell, any request for cash, wire transfer, or gift cards to resolve an emergency involving a family member who asked you not to tell anyone else. Hang up. Call the family member directly on a number you already have. Scam 2, Medicare and Social Security impersonation. A caller identifies themselves as a Medicare or Social Security Administration representative. They claim the senior's benefits are suspended, their card has been compromised, or they owe money on a government account. They ask for the Social Security number, Medicare number, or bank details to restore service. Medicare and the Social Security Administration will never call you to ask for your personal information or to demand payment by phone. Never. If you receive this call, hang up and call the agency directly using the number on their official website. Scam 3, IRS impersonation. The caller says the senior owes back taxes and will be arrested within hours if they do not pay immediately. They demand payment by wire transfer, prepaid debit card, or cryptocurrency. Never a check, because checks create records. The threat of arrest is the weapon. Most elderly Americans have a deep fear of legal authority and will comply under that threat before stopping to question whether the call is real. The IRS does not call to demand immediate payment. It does not threaten arrest. It does not accept gift cards. Any call that does any of these things is a scam. Hang up immediately. The next 3 are the fastest growing categories of elder fraud in 2026. They work differently from the first 3. Slower, more patient, and significantly more devastating. Scam 4, the romance scam. This is the most emotionally devastating scam on this list, and the one that produces the largest average losses. A scammer creates a fake online profile, usually a military officer, a doctor working abroad, or a widowed professional. They begin a relationship over weeks or months, building genuine emotional connection. Then the crisis arrives, a medical emergency, a business problem, a visa issue, and they need money. The victim sends it because they believe they are helping someone they love. These scams can last years. Losses of $100,000 or more are documented regularly. The tell, any online relationship where the person has never met you in person and eventually asks for money, regardless of the reason or the strength of the relationship. Scam 5. The lottery and sweepstakes scam. The senior receives a letter, email, or call telling them they have won a prize. But to claim it, they must first pay taxes, fees, or processing charges. The prize never arrives. The fees are gone forever. These scams are particularly effective on isolated elderly adults because winning feels like a rare piece of good news in a quiet life. The tell: any prize that requires upfront payment to claim. Legitimate lotteries and sweepstakes never require winners to pay anything before receiving their prize. If you paid to enter, it is a scam. If you did not enter, it is definitely a scam. Scam 6. The tech support scam. A pop-up appears on the senior's computer warning of a virus or security breach. A phone number is provided. The senior calls it and reaches a fake Microsoft or Apple technician who walks them through giving remote access to their computer. Once inside, the scammer can access banking credentials, install malware, or directly transfer funds. These scams are extremely sophisticated and difficult to distinguish from legitimate support services. The rule: Microsoft, Apple, and any legitimate technology company will never contact you unsolicited about a virus on your computer. Never give remote access to your computer to anyone who contacts you first, regardless of what they say is wrong. Scam 7 is the one nobody in your family is talking about, because it is the hardest to detect and the hardest to accept. Scam 7. Trusted person fraud. This is financial abuse carried out not by strangers, but by people the elderly person knows. A caregiver, a neighbor, a new friend, or in the most devastating cases, a family member. It accounts for a significant portion of all elder financial abuse and is the least reported category of all, because the victim either does not realize it is happening or is too ashamed or afraid to report someone they trust. Warning signs include unexplained withdrawals from bank accounts, changes to wills or beneficiaries, a new person who has become unusually involved in financial decisions, or a senior who suddenly seems financially stressed despite having had savings. These signs do not require confrontation. They require a calm, private conversation, and if necessary, contact with adult protective services. Here is exactly how to protect the people you love. 5 specific steps. Not general advice. Specific, actionable things you can do this week. Step 1. Establish a safe word. Choose a word or phrase that only your family knows, something specific and memorable. Tell your elderly loved one, if anyone ever calls claiming to be family and needing money, ask them for the safe word. If they cannot give it, hang up immediately. This single system would have saved Dorothy $3,000. Step 2. Set up a trusted contact on their bank account. Most U.S. banks allow the account holder to designate a trusted contact, someone the bank can call if they notice unusual activity. This is not the same as adding them to the account. It simply gives the bank permission to call you if they see a wire transfer or large cash withdrawal that looks wrong. Set this up in person at a branch. Step 3. Have the talk, but frame it correctly. Do not approach this conversation as your elderly parent being vulnerable or at risk. Approach it as a family safety plan that everyone participates in. Share this video with them. Tell them about Dorothy. Tell them the 7 scams. Knowledge does not remove dignity. It restores power. Step 4. Set up gift card and wire transfer alerts on their accounts. Most U.S. banks allow withdrawal alerts by text or email for transactions over a set amount. Set the threshold low, $500. You will be notified of any unusual activity before it is too late to stop it. Step 5. Check in regularly. Isolation is what scammers depend on. A senior who has regular contact with family members who ask questions is a significantly harder target. You do not need to monitor. You need to be present. A weekly phone call where you ask how things are going is more protective than any technology or account setting. Dorothy's family found out 2 days too late. But her daughter sat down with her the following week, went through the 7 scams, set up a safe word, and called the bank to add a trusted contact. 6 months later, Dorothy received another grandparent scam call. She asked for the safe word. The caller hung up. The system worked. Not because Dorothy became suspicious of everyone, because her family gave her the tools to protect herself with her dignity completely intact. Share this video with one family member tonight. Not because something bad is going to happen, because this conversation is too important to delay. Drop in the comments below. Have you or someone you know encountered any of these 7 scams? I will read everyone. Stay aware. Stay safe.